what I'm really interested about when I heard about your activities and your questions is if you have an opportunity then to gather all these conversations and to see some commonalities with them. And I think it would be fascinating and really encouraging if those opinions had a lot of commonality that crossed and were unconnected to people's political persuasion and political leanings. Things are getting so much better in every meaningful way in the world. But the way our discourse happens today, and the advent of social media, it feels like things are falling apart. But if you look at the facts and the data behind the real important issues like education of women worldwide, infant mortality worldwide, longevity and healthscape worldwide, everything is getting somewhere between remarkably and astoundingly better.
In June 2019, I took to the road to ask people from all over the country about their dreams. I thought I would be learning about them, but I'm also learning about myself. Join me and see what you find out about yourself as you listen to other people answer the 3 dream questions. This is Gary, and he's agreed to answer the 3 dream questions. Are you ready, Gary?
Let's do this.
Okay. The first question is, what are your hopes and dreams and maybe aspirations?
Well, at this point, my hopes and dreams are to enjoy the ride of life, to share it with other people, and leave this place a little better than when I arrived.
What does that mean to you?
Well, as I was younger, I probably didn't have any plan, any dreams, and was just an attitude of work hard and be nice, and good things will happen, and I think generally that's how my life has unfolded. At this point, though, I have time, the gift of time. Haven't recently retired, so my only retirement activity of meaning is to help my kids achieve the same result with their lives, my 5 kids.
So you're kind of living your dream.
I am, and I have trouble complaining about it. It's been very good.
Okay, good. Is there anything else? Do you have any things beyond your immediate family? And is there some thoughts about maybe the country or the world or something like that? Or?
Well, I think 2 things come to mind. One is I do hope to, once I get the message to my kids and get them to, with 5 kids, they all have different attitudes and different perceptions and different degrees of interest. As soon as I find the magic to find that for all 5 of them, I would hope that would translate to other people, young adults especially. What I'm really interested about when I heard about your activities and your questions is if you have an opportunity then to gather all these conversations and to see some commonalities with them. And I think it would be fascinating and really encouraging if those opinions had a lot of commonality that crossed and were unconnected to people's political persuasion and political leanings.
It sounds like, and I don't want to put words in your mouth, what you're saying is that you're kind of looking also forward, besides the other things, forward to a time when people can kind of see their connections instead of their the things that separate them.
Yes, absolutely. And I, again, being retired, the gift of time is a wonderful, probably the most special part of it. To let me do a lot of reading and a lot of reflecting. And a lot of having a lot of conversations, so I can learn more from people that have great messages that I didn't have time for in the past. I've come to conclude that there are more things in common. Things are getting so much better in every meaningful way in the world. But the way our discourse happens today, and the advent of social media, it feels like things are falling apart. But if you look at the facts and the data behind the real important issues like education of women worldwide, infant mortality worldwide, longevity and healthscape worldwide, everything is getting somewhere between remarkably and astoundingly better. But it doesn't feel like it when you watch the news.
The news, yeah. I read a historian who said that if we were going to write the story of the 21st century, the end of the 20th century, the 21st century, it would be that peace has broken out in the world compared to it has, according to them, the percentage of people that are dying in wars. Is almost minuscule to what it has been in the history of the world.
Absolutely, and even terrorism. If you look at the facts of hate crimes, under which terrorism falls, in developed countries, it's you're more like, it's less likely that you'll have suffer from a terrorist activity than be hit by lightning or a car. So it's not the same in developing countries, but it's in aggregate in the entire world, things are getting much better.
Oh, that's really encouraging. And I think when you said about the social media, and media, we focus on those acts of terrorism, and we think it's happening everywhere and all the time.
Exactly, and that's part of our cognitive process, that we think we put more weight on things that we see, and the more dramatic it is, the more weight we give it, and that's probably evolutionarily how it's helped us survive. But we need to overcome that, and I think things like you're doing is an opportunity, or it's a piece of what will bring people some understanding and a feel good that says, hey, we have so much in common, and let's focus on that more than what our differences are.
Oh, thank you. Do you remember some of your dreams as a child? 6th grade, you want to be this, you want to do that, or?
I mean, I was going to be a professional football player if my dreams came through, but that's, the silly childish dreams. I don't think I had, as I said, other than work hard and be nice, I didn't really have a plan. I was enjoying the ride, and I was fortunate enough to come into a nice family, a caring family, and we weren't wealthy, but we were comfortable, and I had a great experience growing up. So,
well, I can attest to the nice part, and by the look of you, it looks like you work too. But
trying.
If you could go back to the 13-year-old Gary and say something to him, or if you had some advice for people maybe just starting out in life, I think the message I'm starting to craft for my kids and for younger adults is that, I guess there's two pieces. One is achieve financial independence as soon as you can. And even though it sounds crass because it's about money, what financial independence gives you is freedom, and freedom with your time. And once you have financial independence, you have freedom with your time, and then you can do what your passion is. Then you can be altruistic, you can reach out to people, you can help people because you've taken care of yourself already and your family. And then, so achieving financial freedom is important. Albert Einstein, reasonably bright guy, said the eighth wonder of the world is the magic of compound interest. And so achieving financial independence really is driven much more by when you start saving than what you save and how much you save or what you do with it in your investments. So that's the message I'm trying to get through to young adults. I'm taking courses at a local community college, so I'm hanging out with 18 and 20-year-olds. And those with whom I develop a relationship with, that's part of the message I try to get through to them, and they generally appreciate that, and even though I'm pretty sure it won't connect with most of them the first time, when they hear it from their parents or their peers or their coworkers in the future, then they'll build on what they've already heard, and I hope that helps them. Yeah. This is way off the topic. Have you written a book, or have you thought about writing a book?
Yes, I have thought about it, but there's a gentleman by the name of J.L. Collins who wrote the book that I would have written.
Write. Oh, okay.
If I was more motivated and smarter and more eloquent.
You sound pretty eloquent to me.
But so it's right now I think my joy comes from having conversations with people about things that they're interested in but don't really know where to go, how to sort through the huge amount of information that's out there, and so I get to connect with people as opposed to put a framework together and just put it out there.
Put it out there for a one-size-fits-all type of thing.
Yeah.
Gotcha. Well, from what I've heard is you're kind of living your dream. You've got some time, and you're able to donate that time and use that time to make connections. And you'd like to see a world where those connections are reinforced over the divisions, or whether they're real or imaginary, they're still kind of divisions, things that divide us. And you would like to encourage people young people to seek independence, financial independence, because with that independence, they become contributors. They're free to become contributors if that's the way they go. Because sometimes people achieve it and they keep going and going, and they forget about the other people. But you seem like someone who pays it back. It seems like that's
well. And I think if you're going to go back to the numbers, go back to the data, I think you'll find that most people that accumulate a lot of wealth become philanthropical.
Yep,
and so there's a small
they want to
percentage
give
that
back.
there's a small percentage that keep growing and going and going,
and those are the ones that get stereotyped.
and they get the notoriety,
They
right?
get the notoriety.
But that's the small percentage, and that's why I feel good about mankind in general. I think, and I think it was a great summary. It's as if you've done this a few times.
A couple of times. Well, last question: is there anything that came to mind? Is a thought that popped up? You don't have to have one, by the way.
I'm encouraged by you putting yourself out there and how you're going about this, because one of the things I've struggled with is how do I put myself in a place, or how do I find folks that might be interested in having some conversations that are really interesting to me and might be interesting for them. And so I'm encouraged watching and listening to you and what you do in that respect. And our meeting was by chance,
of course.
and the conversation was even also further by chance.
Yeah.
And serendipity is kind of a wonderful thing.
Yeah, and a lot of people say that the only illusion is the fact is coincidence.
Right.
That might be the illusion, that it was a coincidence.
I think I would agree with that.
Thank you very much,
Thank
Gary.
you.